we do have a guest, as promised. My next guest has been a personal coach since 1996 and a motivational speaker since 2001. He has presented in front of thousands of people and for organizations like the U.S. Bank, just to name a few. He is a proud veteran of the U.S. Marine Corps and has a degree in psychology and currently teaches people to develop self-confidence in a banking class for a nonprofit agency in Minneapolis. We'd like you to all welcome to the show Mr. Robert E. Willis, a motivational, inspirational veteran and now author. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you kindly. I appreciate your invite.
Oh, no problem. And how are you doing this summer evening?
It's a fantastic day. Had a lot of enjoyable things happening this weekend, but this was the highlight of my weekend, coming in and spending some time with you. So,
I really appreciate you being here. Before we get started, I just want to let everyone know that WFE is a volunteer run station made up of many different community voices. Each program expresses a great aspect of that diversity, like the views of government from the youth group and the African and as I'm doing housekeeping.
understandable.
We talk about something. So, tell our listening audience about yourself. Were you born and raised here? Where did you go to school? And what made you want to join the military?
That was a good question. Born and raised in North Minneapolis. My mother grew up in St. Paul, and she said she used to love watching the Cretan boys get on the school bus with their uniform. And she said if she ever had any sons, they were going to Cretan. Fast forward, I'm born. I go over to Cretan, and I spend 4 years over there. Take 3 city buses to get to Cretan from North Minneapolis. Went through my 4 years. I wasn't much of a military person, and when I graduated, there was like no way in the world I was going in the military. 3 years later, I joined the Marine Corps. Loved it too.
How do you feel that the military shaped you to become who you are today?
They are the best years, and I would say the worst years of my life as well. But they were the foundation of who I am. The concept of serving the community has really always been important to me. I'm a second-generation employment counselor. That's what my mother did. And it just became natural to continue serving after I left the military. And by serving, I mean helping those people that are in need and crisis or trying to somehow get to the next level in their life.
Okay. Wonderful. So, as I stated, you have been a personal coach since 1996 and a motivational speaker since 2001. You also presented for thousands of people and organizations. I know that, and just to let the cat out of the bag, you and I actually work for the same agency.
We do.
And so, and we work together for actually had some of my own participants take one of your classes. Tell me a little bit about that class and tell me why do you feel that it's needed?
Excellent question. Thank you. The Next Beginnings class is a class that is for infant recipients, those individuals that are getting assistance from the county or another outside agency. These are individuals that are struggling in a unique way, and the Next Beginnings class is to help them get to their next beginning. It's not necessarily geared towards employment, but if their next beginning is becoming a better parent, being an active member in the community, doing something at their local schools, something to help them to get to the next level. But all of us go through a dark time. All of us go through a time in our lives where we're not sure. And this is an opportunity for me to help these individuals re-energize and re-motivate themselves to get to their next level, because we all worth that investment.
As a personal coach, I know that it takes a lot of patience and also a lot of which you have a degree in psychology, so it takes a lot of psychological thinking and trying to break down people and kind of be able to beyond those walls and kind of see, just get to know someone, in their mind and how to get into thinking. What has been one of your biggest challenges in being a personal coach?
I would say the biggest challenge, currently what I do right now, I just graduated last Friday my 27th banking class.
Congratulations.
thank you kindly. Appreciate that over the past 6 years. Those students that come to me, they're usually in crisis in some way. And what my job is through the interview process and talking with them when I initially meet them, is to find out what is their issue that's stopping them from finding employment. If they didn't need us, they would have found employment. So something is there holding them back. And that's my job to kind of figure it out through their body language, the words they use, the words they don't use, facial expression, micro expressions, all that aspect. For me, each person is like a combination lock. And trying to solve what motivates them is the challenge that I have with each and every participant that comes through the program. And I have to admit, I've been relatively successful with a 90% placement rate.
That's impressive. So what we're going to do is we actually talked a little bit before we started the show, and you asked me if I was going to play a particular song. So I'm going to play that song, which is my favorite. So it was actually
The Blues Brothers.
Yes.
Yes.
I had it in the rotation. So I'm going to go ahead and play this song, and then we will come back. Go ahead.
It's a good theme for tonight's interview because that's what this is all about.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and think. So we can come back with more.
Is it okay if I dance?
Sure.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's good. Just don't get on the table.
Understandable. All right, there you
All right,
go.
we'll be back. I'm hearing you, but I'm going to ask you to scoot a little bit
Closer?
to your left. Yep, so you're right in front of the mic.
Got it.
Because I can hear you, the volume is good, but yeah.
Sounds good.
How are you feeling?
Oh man, loving this.
You're a
I'm-
professional, man. I'm like,
No, I'm trying to keep up with you,
you're
man.
doing good.
You got
I'm sitting here
smooth
like,
and everything.
No, you. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, when I saw this movie, Blues Brothers, this was like one of the favorite parts of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna have to go home and watch this.
Time is flying, too. We're doing good. Is there anything specific that you want to touch?
Not necessarily. I think I would like to give a tribute to my mom, her book, Days of Rondo.
Nope.
This guy.
You can do that. I have a perfect segment for that. You went to
I
Creighton?
thought you would. I did. Yes, I am a Cretan boy. But it was when it was Cretan, not Cretan Durham Hall. So it was all boy Catholic military uniform.
No, that's fine.
It wasn't at 14. Full dress uniform every Monday morning. Never heard this one either. Never heard this one either. I like this.
How long did you live in St. Paul before you moved to Minneapolis?
What's that?
So you went to Creighton. You graduated from Creighton?
Correct, yes.
And then how long did you live in St. Paul before you moved over to
Well, I lived in Minneapolis. So that's
You lived in Minneapolis and went to Creighton?
3 city buses every morning, man. I was on the bus stop at 5:30. Kind of doing. And that was, my son complains about walking 2 blocks to school. You know? Yeah, did that 4 years. And it was just the way life was.
Your mom still live in St. Paul?
No, she passed in 2001.
Oh, okay.
No worries, no worries. No, it's all good.
I'd like to read that book though.
Yeah, it was very, very popular. It was even, I believe, a textbook down in Macon, Georgia, because it mentioned the history down there and what was going on at that time in the 40s and 50s. And it was North and South. It was way different back in those days. You know, not that it's changed a whole lot, but it was just through her eyes, she saw it in a very innocent way, but it was the realism of the time frame. Like it was a textbook in a lot of colleges too. She really knocked it out of the ballpark.
We got like 40 seconds.
Sounds good.
So, did you know that Aretha Franklin had 112 child singles in there, 77 Hot 100 entries, 17 top 10 singles, 100 R&B entries, 20 #1 R&B singles, becoming the most charted female artist in charts history. And not done. 10 Grammy Awards, including the first 8 awards given for Best Female R&B Vocal Performance from 1960 to 1975. And she was one of the best-selling musical artists of all time, having sold more than 75 million records worldwide.
Wow.
Just some facts. But she was a phenomenal woman.
That's the Queen of Soul.
That's the Queen of Soul. And in case you just tuned in, we are talking today with Mr. Robert E. Willis, and he is a personal coach, motivational, inspirational speaker, veteran, and now an author. Tell me a little bit about the book. The book is called Inside the Matrix, The Power of Choice. Why the reference to the Matrix?
Thank you, Charles. Excuse me. In 2001, I went to work at my daughter's high school. She was having some difficulty over there. I had just seen The Matrix, and a phenomenal movie with all the kung fu and all the gunplay and the wise words and all that. But I noticed the similarity between the movie and the book itself. In the movie, they were living in a make-believe world that did not exist. They were connected up to all these machines, and in their minds, they were living in this world that just simply wasn't there. In high school, it's the exact same thing. It's a make-believe world. It does not exist. However, for the students, it is very real. Every year, the students there'll be new freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. The seniors will graduate, new freshmen will come in. But there will always be the most educated, the least educated, the most athletic, the least athletic. There's always that balance in the schools. And I saw that connection. And I saw that, especially in the training portion of it, these students have the ability to go into the classroom and download new information via tests and all that kind of stuff that happens in schools. The same thing happens in the movie The Matrix. They could actually download Kung Fu in an instant. In schools, it takes a little longer. It's a semester or a year, or whatever it may be. But we get to put information inside of our mind to help us. And I saw that connection. Thus, the seed was born to start writing this book.
How long did it take you to write it?
To be honest with you, I started writing it in 2001. And I picked it up, put it down, picked it up, put it down, and it didn't really quite click until last fall.
Okay.
That's when it hit me. I kept trying to make the connection between the movie and the high school experience. And then it hit me that all of my students that I've graduated through my banking program are going through the exact same thing. And all the principles just fell right into place, and I was able to get it done within about a month, month and a half.
I've had the opportunity to read the book before myself, and I love the references to the Matrix. It's funny because I've seen three of the Matrix.
Okay.
Three?
Yes,
Okay.
there are, yes.
I've seen all three of them. And, I guess before I read your book, it was kind of my own interpretation of the movie.
Okay.
And I always compare it to more I thought of it in more computer world.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I've always wanted to talk to someone who I knew kind of got it. And like, okay, what does this mean? What is an oracle? What is this? I knew the terminology,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
but when I read your book and we had actually had a conversation before some interview and we gave me some background on the book, and the more I read the book, the more the movie kind of connected the dots.
Made sense.
It made sense to me. So while you were writing, let me ask this, let me back up a minute. So before you knew that you wanted to write a book, and you already knew the concept.
Correct.
The movie kind of gave you inspiration in connecting your concept?
It did. I will be honest with you. I have seen the movie roughly about 70 times. I really love the movie, but every time I watch it, I see a different variation of it. It makes me think. Now, nothing bad against the second and the third one. They're visually awesome to see, and all the kung fu, all that kind of stuff is great. But it's the first one that has the philosophy behind it that I think is crucial for our young minds out there. And when I say young minds, I mean all minds.
Okay. And so, after seeing the movie, and after kind of knowing what your concept was and kind of connecting it, then that kind of made it easier for you to complete the book because you wanted to stay within your concept in the movie.
Correct.
Okay. And so, you also have some, as far as being an author, this is your first book, correct?
This is my fourth book, actually.
Fourth book?
Yes, this is my fourth book.
Okay, all right. All right. Okay, so, but you also have a little history in the bloodline of people writing books, right?
Most definitely.
Okay, you want to tell us about that?
Definitely. My mother, Evelyn Fairbanks, she wrote a book called Days of Rondo. It came out, I want to say, 91, 93. And it was about the Rondo district in St. Paul. They had decided to come in with this new concept of building a freeway called Highway 94. And what they did is they went to the lowest income area in St. Paul and just paved their way through it. And all those immigrants that were there wasn't just African American, there were Irish individuals and people from different countries all the way around. They were kind of relocated and kind of scattered in a sense. And it's the story of what happened as she was growing up. It covers many years of her life, but it was talking about the life of an African American woman in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. And it was so detail-oriented. She had done so much research on it that was actually required reading in a lot of public schools and some universities.
So, without spoiling the book, I just kind of chose a chapter.
Okay.
And in chapter 4 of the book, you talk about the truth about reality.
Okay.
How can we change the perception of how we see ourselves. We can change our reality of who we are and then who we become. Can you elaborate on that?
Most definitely. Our personalities, our characters, our personality, how we see ourselves is the thoughts that we have about ourselves. And in many cases, we always don't have a positive idea of who we are. And that's what this book is about, is helping people develop more self-confidence in themselves and seeing that they have the ability to become anything that they want to. Since being a coach from '96, I've seen literally thousands of people that wanted to accomplish something and started towards that journey and accomplishing it. But it was the beginning of it. It was the epiphany they had that they could change is what made a difference. And that's why I call this the power of choice. People can choose to stay where they're at and live in oblivion, or they can choose to figure out what it is that they're passionate about and start following it. And it's going to take an education, but not necessarily one that's in a university or a college. Sometimes it's just putting additional information inside of their mind to think differently about themselves and how they perceive themselves in the world.
So, one of the most difficult challenges that we face in just being human, whether we're male or female, one of the most difficult challenges that we face is the battle with ourselves.
Yes.
We see ourselves, excuse me, we think about ourselves. So, how do we overcome that battle?
It's a tough one. Just as easily as going to the grocery store and sitting in the checkout line. We see these magazines that show the glamour and things going on around the world with other people, and subconsciously we kind of make a connection, a comparison between ourselves and them. And we never see ourselves as successful as these glamorous movie stars are, or people that are really popular around the world. And that's where it's got to start at, is that we are perfect as we are. We are unique. We're special. One of the things that I talk about, I've got something called my I am statement. My I am statement is something I created in 2006. It lists who I am as an individual and gives a reason behind it. And that's when I first started developing a different kind of self-confidence in myself, to become the one. The one is the person, as in the movie The Matrix, they become the one at the end. The one is the person who is in control of their life. They're the ones who make the decisions, even though they may exist with outside forces such as employment and family and things like that. But it's the concept of who we feel about ourselves, how we see ourselves, and that becomes a reality. You've heard the old thing, perception is reality. If we perceive ourselves to be weak, then we will be. But if we perceive ourselves to be strong and empowered, then we are.
Like I said, really questions that I had about you, and then more so, I can see why you try to be after you, and we really need to the concepts. But one of the things that, like I said, we work for the same agency, and the program that you have, I refer some of my clients to your program, and a lot of them, and I have to say that after they took your class, and also I attended, it was a 3-day class, and I attended 2 of the days, and I didn't stay for the whole class, but just watching you develop, watching you, explain to, and let's be honest, a lot of the people, I would say, correct me if I'm wrong, the majority of the people, not all the people that take that class, are people who are struggling with self-esteem, people who are not really seeing
Yes.
Seeing what we already see, we're trying to get them to see, from going through difficult times and being in a situation where we both work with people who, and one of the things that I've learned from you is just rephrasing and reframing things that I say to clients that I talk to. One of the things that I say to them is, I hold this imaginary mirror, and when they look at me, I'm holding it up, and what they don't realize is I already see the success side of it. It just can take some time depending on them, it's going to take some time for them to see that same reflection.
Exactly. It is there, sometimes covered up with dust. And the dust would be the experience that they've gone through, whether it's a divorce, they're new to the country, they've been a stay-at-home parent. Their confidence has been diminished simply because they haven't had somebody there building it up. On the very first day of class, what I do is for all my students, I give them homework, and they have to say out to themselves out loud 5 times, "I am awesome." Now, when I give them that homework, they look at me and they're kind of like, "Are you kidding me? Is that really part of the homework?" And they do the homework, and then they come in, and over a couple days, they realize how powerful that is to hear those words, because we normally don't get compliments from other people. We do during our reviews from our boss and things like that, but not on a daily basis. And the power of that itself, just telling yourself that you are awesome, fundamentally changes these people over a 3-week process where they start thinking they're awesome, and then by the time graduation day comes around, they are awesome. And then when they sit in the interview chair, they don't wish, want, hope, or believe that they are. They know that they're awesome. And that's what makes a major difference. When they have that self-confidence in themselves and they believe that they can do it inside, then they're unstoppable. There is no glass ceiling.
And I don't want to just say, let's just say that we're living in this time right now that is very important. A lot of people, it seems like maybe it's exposing out one another, but a lot of people are going through a lot of mental health and talking about it. We don't really want to discuss that, or we don't want to bring it up.
It was a form of weakness in the past.
And it seems like now it's being forced to, we have to deal with it. African American communities, it's usually it's not talked about. We don't talk about that, it stays in the family, and it's important that from a parent, you are a parent.
That I am.
You are a parent, and from a parental side, how important is it for people to understand that they need to have these discussions with their children? Because a lot of people, and not just children, but just a lot of people in general who, seem to think that there's no way out, and the most easiest way out is suicide. So how important do you think it is for parents to actually have these type of conversations and just speak life into their children?
It's crucially important, especially in a community that is very fast-paced, where things are happening all the time, and it's hard for some individuals to stay focused because there's so much out there. The number one thing all of us need across the board, and this is the participants that you and I both work with, but across the board, we all need hope. It is fundamental that we have something to hope for. And for parents, it's crucially important to plant that seed to instill inside their children some hope for their future. Now, that hope may not be something that they want right here, right now, but if we know that's something that's good for them. For example, my son, since he was in kindergarten, he's known he's going to college. There was just no other question, no other direction. He went to high school, started taking 4 honors classes, and he's an A/B student. But in his mind, I had the concept, I had these higher expectations for him. I had hope for his future. And for those parents out there that are struggling with their kids, and kids are a struggle. We had, my son and I had 3 or 4 very challenging years while he was in school, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. But it's the investment into our children that is crucial for the family, for the community, for society. And parents have to instill hope into their kids.
I'm going to read a couple paragraphs from you.
By all means.
And feel free to tell me, about the thought of this and let me see. Okay. Each and every one of us has been trained since childhood and enslaved in this society. Your slavery is being forced. Your slavery is being forced to be an input. No matter what you do in life, you will generate bills. It will cost you money to simply exist. No, it's going to.
Got it. Actually, that was what I had too.
You will have to eat, find shelter, transportation, medical expenses by simply living. You will need to find we must work in order to pay for these things. You want to speak on that?
I do. What I would like to do is give the quote prior to that, and this is the quote from The Matrix that I love. I'm going to get a little dramatical on here.
Go ahead.
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us, even now in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window. You can feel it when you turn on your television. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth that you are a slave. Like everyone else, you were born into a prison you cannot see or taste or touch. A prison for your mind. Because we live in a society that we have to generate bills and pay those bills by going out and working in a job that if you do not love it, you are going to live a life of servitude. We roughly spend a third of our lives sleeping, a third of our lives socializing, but a third of our lives is spent working. And if you're spending 8 hours a day laboring at something that you're not passionate about, that is indeed the definition of slavery. So my hope is for people to go out there and find something that they're passionate about, something they love to do. And I would give the secret to finding the perfect job, and it's something I preach at every one of my presentations, and it's very simple. Find something you love to do. Learn as much about it as you can, then find someone to pay you to do it. For me, I love to run my mouth. When I was in high school, I was that class clown in the back of the classroom cracking jokes and all that. But I didn't realize that my mouth and my voice and my words, that's my skill. That's my talent that I have. And that's what I choose to share with the world. Now, I am an introvert. I am that quiet person that getting up in front of the classroom wasn't my thing. But that's what I found out, that's where I'm destined to be, and I'm most passionate, is in front of the classroom. And there, I have the opportunity to become what my mentor taught me was larger than life. When you become larger than life, that means you become an expert at what you do. And then it's no longer work. It becomes something that you're passionate about doing.
So, you said that you believe, and you said that you are an introvert. Would you still say that you're an introvert?
I'm an introvert that's developed exceptional extrovert skills. Yes, I still am that quiet individual that's shy. In larger parties and things like that, I'm more of that quiet person. But in front of the classroom, that's where I shine the best.
Peter Parker from Spider-Man.
Most definitely. I'd go with the Superman theory. But, I'm good with that. You can call me Clark.
That's fine. All right, so we're going to come back and talk more about the book. And you are here for the duration of the show, correct?
Correct.
All right, so we are going to be right back with more of Robert E. Lewis. Wonderful.
Yeah, I'm having a blast, man. I love this. It's cool.
You know what? This spoke to me. And when I finish this book, I'm going to have my son read it. But this spoke to me because...
This was the beginning. It was this speech that it all created. When I heard that, it was like, I've got to do something with this because everything can be built around this. And it has.
You know, before I came to PPL, like you, I've been in corporate America, and I always felt this spoke to me. I always felt I got up in the morning, I went to work. I was a father at 18 years old. 2 weeks after I threw up my hat, when it came back down, it was a baby. So I was a father at 18 years old. I grew up with my mother and father in the home. My dad worked, my mom worked. We weren't poor, but we weren't rich. My mom, I think I told you this before, my mom was Hispanic, my dad African American. My mom never taught me the language because she said they dealt with a lot of racism and she didn't want us to be confused and all of this other stuff. I was, she should have taught me, that's what I am. But
at the time, though, I could see the hesitancy because my mom same thing.
And now I can understand. And so, but they both were hardworking. They didn't sit down and talk to me about finances and credit. My dad had excellent credit, but he would teach me how to do credit.
Okay.
My My dad was in the military. He never pushed me to go in the military. He didn't push me to do a lot of things because my mom was very protective of us, and I didn't learn why until after she passed away. And she had previous
Sorry to hear
kids.
that.
Huh?
Sorry to hear that. It's
Oh,
never good to
yeah, she had previous kids that when she had the kids, the guy took the kids from her, and she had to run over and try to find them, and she never found them, and he told them all these lies, and she gave them up, and so that kind of destroyed my mom. And so when we were born, me and my two sisters, sheltered, man. I couldn't do anything. I'd walk off the block. What are you doing? I'd be like, oh my! I remember the first time being able to. Let me play this song. I remember the first time being able to ride my bike in the street, and you would have thought it was like the first time I ever cussed. And it's like, oh my God, and then, and so.
Very protective, yeah.
Right, and so. Long story short is, I grew up and there's a lot of things that I learned. Like I was telling you, when I threw up my hat, came back down as a baby. So I was going to go to school, and my dad said, I can give you a couple $1,000 for school or a couple $1,000 for a car. Well, you know which one I picked. And so everybody else knew what they were going to do their senior year. I went to Central. So everybody knew what they wanted to do. I didn't. All I knew, I did know. I wanted to be a screenwriter. I wanted to be the next Spike Lee.
Okay.
Now, there are some things that I am not gifted in height. I can't sing. I'm not athletic. But I know that I have the gift to be able to talk to people. I have the gift to be able to walk into a room, and not that I demand a presence, but I have the gift to be able to click with somebody in that room some way, somehow, some whatever. And I know that God gave me a gift to be able to have conversation with people, talk to people, inspire, motivate. And I always knew that I wanted to do what I'm doing right now. What I'm doing.
Good for you.
But again, I said a long time ago when I first came to PPL, we had those. I don't think you were there. We had those open talk sessions when Philandro got killed.
Okay.
And we had everybody was talking, and I didn't want to go. I was actually late. I ended up coming. I didn't know what was going on. Everybody's talking and crying about. And the more that I'm in a certain setting where I know stuff affects me or I have something to say, the more uncomfortable I feel, because it's like I'm having a battle with myself. Like, Chuck, don't say nothing. Chuck, you need to say something. Chuck, don't say nothing. Chuck, you need to say something. And finally I let out. And I said, I've been in this position for just a little bit. And I said, I've been in this position for just a little bit, but I took a pay cut when I left security to come to PPL. Struggling, and then I said, did I make it? Every day I loved coming to work, but every day I asked God, if I'm in my blessing, if this is what you've gifted me to do, why am I struggling? How do I be in what I'm supposed to be in and maintain what I'm supposed to maintain?
It's interesting that you'd say that because after I graduated, got my degree, and I went to work for EAC, and I remember going in there, and I've got my thing going on, and the lady looks at me and goes, what do you know about being a single parent coming in with your degree and your tie and all that? And I realized at that moment, that's when I had that epiphany, was that I need to be struggling in order to help people that are struggling. And I don't need to be struggling the way I am, but it's a portion of like-mindedness. And I understand when people are in darkness, when people are in crisis, I get that because I've been there. And I can only counsel them because of that. If somebody were to come out with a degree and they've lived a charmed life and then it's good, and they sit down with somebody that's going through some deep hardship and they try and say, I understand where you're coming from, it's not as genuine, not as authentic. I've had my lights turned off, and it's just like, I know what it feels like,
I just want you to know that right now, you are preaching to my soul, because I I never, and she's talking about something else, I'm talking about this. I never looked at it that way until now. This very moment that makes sense.
Okay.
This very moment that makes sense, because I would sit behind my desk, and not that I felt like I was bigger than anybody that walked through that door. I've lost a home before.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten my home taken away from me and my wife at the time when I was married, and my 5 kids. We weren't homeless. We had places to go, but that still counts as homeless. Okay.
Exactly.
But when I talk about homeless, I think of the aspect of living on the street.
In the streets,
okay?
exactly.
In my car, not knowing where we're going to
Grocery shopping bag
right.
and all that.
Being afraid because I got to walk with my kids, you know. So, but not until this very point. Thank you. Not until this very point did my struggle make sense, because you're right. How can I teach somebody how to swim or empathize if I don't know how to swim, if I've never drowned?
Mm-hmm.
And that makes, like,
oh man,
seriously, I mean,
well, my job's done here.
No, I mean, and you're right, because it's like I kept saying, but I stayed the course.
Mm-hmm.
I kept saying, God, I don't know why you have me here, except for this is my blessing, but it don't feel very blessed. But I ain't complaining because I didn't want him to take it away.
Yeah.
But I struggled with that, but that makes total sense. We get, boy. You also play Rock Steady and Swag Weekend. You are tuned in to the Smoothest Groove on the radio. This is Coach Chuck Smooth. We are with Mr. Robert E. Willis. He is the author of Inside the Matrix, The Power of Choice. We have like awesome conversation off we kind of went to church and everything. It's okay. Robert, who inspired you? Who motivated you?
There's a long list of folks on that one there. People inspire me. Of course, the first of my kids inspired me, and my mother's inspired me, and my mentor, Top Hopkins, and the Marine Corps inspired me. But what really does inspire me is the graduations. When I see people accomplish their dream, it's powerful. It's powerful to see people over a 3-week course. They come in and they're sitting like a deer with their eyes on the headlight, and then by the end of the 3 weeks, that they feel empowered to go out and change the course of their life. And what's made it even more remarkable is my graduates that come in, and they reinforce the training, they reinforce the mindset, and my students can see these folks, these graduates, and go, I want to be like this person. That inspires me when people realize they have a choice and they can choose to have hope for their future. For me, that's powerful.
That's fantastic. I have to do this weather report here, so I'm just going to put you on a brief pause.
Moment of pause.
Okay. So right now, currently, it is about 84 degrees, and it's like we're going to get to around 68 tomorrow, which is Monday. Looks like it's going to be high of 76. Thunderstorms low of 63 on Tuesday. Partly sunny with a high of 76 and a low of 56. And Wednesday, sunny with a high of 80 and a low of 61. Then on Thursday, is the first day of the state fair. A great place to go. You like going to the fair?
I do.
So for all you fair goers, if you go on the first day, you're the first to try all that food. It's going to be sunny with a high of 80 and a low of 65. And Friday, looks like we're looking at thunderstorms, high of 76 and a low of 66. And let's go to Saturday. On Saturday, it's going to be partly sunny with a high of 86 and a low of 67. That's for the rain. Sunny is going to be partly sunny with a high of 85 and a low of 70. phrase is your knowledge. Anything for kids. So, looks like the weather is going to, the temperature's going to drop a little bit, which I like because I love the fall.
Okay, yep, it's a cool time.
I love the fall. And I also want to let everyone know that you are listening to the North End P 94.1 FM in St. Paul. This is home of Frogtown Community Radio. It is officially 7 o'clock. I had to do that. Station ID. You have to do that at the top loud. So after the song, we'll come back.
Sounds good.
So going back to my story real quick. So I was the father of 2 kids by the time I was 19. So I didn't learn my lesson the first time. I had 2 kids by 2 different women, and I said, I gotta stop. This has gotta stop. But I went to school, MCTC, and I dropped out because I realized that I needed to work.
Okay, yeah, you're a parent.
So
that right there in and of itself is something a lot of folks don't get. That right there, I can't do this, I've got to work.
And I was going to school, but I said, this ain't putting food on the table, this ain't paying child support, this ain't. And so